IIBA. Welcome everyone to the Tampa Bay IIBA Florida chapter. This is our study group for October 19th, 2021. This is our 9th time that we've met. The mission of our chapter is to bridge the gap between industry leaders and business analysts by building partnerships with professionals, educators, and employers so that we may empower, instruct, and engage the Tampa Bay IT community. We have a variety of ways that you can contact the board members as well as participate in conversations. So there has to be a way here that we can help you if you need help. We have board members that are online now. Cliff is online with us at the moment. He is our president. We also have Lori, who is our vice president of finance. Caitlin and Priscilla are our board members at large that help us with special projects. I am the vice president of career and professional development. My name is Thea Raisins. This is my LinkedIn profile. I provide that to you because I get too many things in my email. And so if you want to contact me, LinkedIn is a much more effective way to get in touch with me. Tiffany is my cohort in crime. Unfortunately, she's not able to attend tonight. Before we leave this, I want to let you know that I have several recruiters that are asking me for people that they're looking for business analysts or product owners with a variety of skill levels. If you're interested, if you're currently looking or thinking about looking, if you'll contact me through LinkedIn, I'll be glad to forward to you the information that I've received from the recruiters. Online also is Bob Churchill. Bob has an awesome website that has a variety of very interesting things. It covers a wide breadth of knowledge. His perspective on being a business analyst and the business analyst profession is something that is beneficial to read, whether you're a beginner or you are an experienced business analyst. Let's see, who do we have online? I have Ilya. Leslie, I don't see you yet. Sid is here. Michael, I don't see. Am I missing anybody? I think I got everybody that's online. Okay, if someone shows up pretty soon, I'll be glad to add them.
In Dhaka.
I'm sorry, did I miss somebody? Ah, I got him. He's right there.
All right.
Okay, today is October 19th. As I said, we will continue to have meetings on Tuesdays through the end of the year, with the exception of Thanksgiving and the last week of the year. Our grades so far as a team, as a group, have been a little up and down. We need to probably be averaging around 90% to know that we personally can pass the test. But the reason that we're doing it this way is to find out where we need more study. We're doing it basically one chapter at a time so that we can address the different focus group areas for the book of knowledge. Does anyone have any questions before we get started? Okay, let's switch over to the questions. Most of y'all know that I use the Watermark Learning's questions. This is their exam. Watermark is my favorite simply because it works well for me. It doesn't work well for everyone, but it does provide questions that are very similar to what we use, what you would be using on the test itself. Grab the other one. We're going tonight to be working on the requirements lifecycle management. That is chapter 5. And let's begin this exam. Okay, I need y'all to participate, so I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the answers, and then I need you to tell me what you think the correct answer is. There are several situations which the requirements can be reused. Which of the following statements is accurate regarding requirements reuse? Requirements that are expressed in more detail and associated with a specific solution are less reusable. Specific references to application or departments increase the reuse of requirements and design across an organization. Requirements that are written in more detail and with reference to a specific solution tend to be more reusable. Requirements that are written in a general manner without direct ties to a particular tool or organizational structure tend to be less reusable.
I think C. First of all, it needs to be in a lot of details, so we can disregard D, general manner, no. A, no, because it needs to have more details. It needs to have a lot of attributes. It needs to be traceable.
Okay.
My answer is A.
Sid, you think it's A?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's A?
Well, it's asking which of the statements is true regarding reuse.
Mm-hmm. So
So-
more detail is less reusable, or
Yeah.
more detail is more reusable. So you think it's less reusable with more details?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not as transferable. Actually, I like D, but the last little bit there makes it useless.
Right.
Yes, it does.
D is more accurate, until you get to there.
Until you get to that one line.
Yeah.
Okay, well, she spoke up first, so let's try C and see what the answer really is. Okay, Sid, you are correct. 5.2.4.3 is where we can find this. Let's go look it up.
But now let's not say that we're doing horribly on our prep because we actually got that right.
We did actually get that right. We had a good conversation about that. So solutions where requirements can be reused if they are within a current initiative, within similar initiatives, within similar departments, and throughout the entire organization. High level of abstraction, which means more generalities. Very good. Sid, I'm thrilled that you spoke up there.
I think the key here was that it was tied to specific solution, and that shouldn't be tied to specific solution.
Gotcha. I think you're right, because specific solution may not occur again, but the rest of the situation may occur again. Very good. Okay, number 2, you are the senior business analyst in your organization. A business analyst intern asks you the purpose of assessing requirements change. Which of the following is the most accurate response to give to the intern? To understand the undesirable consequences of internal and external forces in the enterprise during or after the change? To ensure proposed changes align with the change strategy and or solution scope? To evaluate the implications of proposed changes to requirements and design, or to determine the factors internal to the solution that restrict the full realization of value. So the purpose of assessing requirements changes.
I'm going to go with C.
Tell me why.
Oh, no, sorry, B. I'm sorry, B.
Tell me why.
Simply because you want to make sure you align to your goal. So
That makes sense. Does anyone have a different answer? Okay, let's go forward with this one.
oh, no.
It's okay. To evaluate the implications of proposed changes to the requirements and design. So this is how the changes would be impacting your requirements and design. You want to let's look this up. 5.4.1. Almost there. Straight out of the book. They may or may not align to change strategy or solution scope. So assessment must be performed to determine whether a proposed change will increase the value of solution, and if so, what action should be taken. This does seem like it's contradictory to what we do in real life business analysis in some ways, but I do understand why they have put it this way. If you want to make the BA Book of Knowledge better, you can help me rewrite it. Just let me know you're interested and I'll get you involved. Let's go to the next one. The business analyst has elicited and analyzed the business case, business need, requirements management plan, and stakeholder list. The business analyst will start will be starting to determine the relative importance of each requirement for implementation. What is the output of the task of the business analyst currently working on? Are we validating, approving, allocating, or prioritizing requirements?
B, prioritizing.
Tell me why you think so.
Well,
DD,
because,
doc.
yeah, because the question says importance of each requirement.
I agree. Does anyone have a different answer? Let's check it. All right. Prioritizing is the act of ranking requirements to determine their relative importance to stakeholders. When requirements are prioritized, is given greater or lesser priority. Priority can refer to the relative value of the requirement or to the sequence in which it will be implemented, which are two totally different things. So be aware of the different things. Prioritization is an ongoing process with priorities changing as the context changes. So that means that as conditions change, you need to be aware that it might be the opportunity to talk with your stakeholders to say, with this new information, do we need to rearrange these priorities? Do things need to go in a different order? Is something less valuable or more valuable than it was before? Which of the following tasks are included in the requirements lifecycle management knowledge area? Trace requirements, analyze requirements, assess requirement change, and approve requirement changes. Stakeholder requirements reviews, requirements design, requirements traceability, requirements prioritization, and requirements design walkthroughs. Trace requirements, approve requirements, prioritize requirements, assess requirements changes, and maintain requirements. Or D, review project scope, determine stakeholder requirements, and approve requirements.
C. Secret.
C,
Mhm.
is this the one you chose?
What about B? Why not B?
Tell me why you think B.
Stakeholder requirements reviews. And in C, just trace, approve, prioritize.
Now, I'm going to go with C too.
Why?
Because this is about requirements. This isn't about stakeholders.
It's the requirements lifecycle management.
Those are also tasks. The items in B are artifacts that are produced by the task, mostly.
So this is task and these are artifacts? Or is it the other way around?
Vice versa.
Okay, this is tasks, which that's what we're looking for. These are,
Some of those are
they are
artifacts.
artifacts.
Not
Okay, well, let's see what the answer is. Aha, so according to 5.0 introduction, let's go to 5.0.
And the closest wrong answer would be A, and that's just a question of knowing the actual list.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to ever find it from here. 5.0 introduction. Let me go this way.
So you mean they might give you two answers where only one thing is different?
Uh-huh. And you got to know it.
Uh,
So,
Scroll up. Okay.
so the task lists are right here. Here are the tasks: trace requirements, maintain, prioritize, assess changes, and approve. These are the tasks for this knowledge area. And you literally have to memorize this list to get this answer right.
Are those type of questions are gonna come up on CBAP?
Yes, ma'am. It will come up on the CBAP and every other certification test provided by this organization.
On
They
the
want you to
one-
know.
Yes, On the other hand, they're kind of tricky, but they're not that crazy. So learn the stuff as well as you can, and just answer in the way that makes the most sense. I think the actual exam questions are not quite this difficult and detailed in their differences. There are some that are difficult and not the greatest, but they're not this picky.
Okay, very good. Let's move to the next one. Okay, I'm going to read the question and let y'all read the answers and tell me which one you think is the right one. Continual prioritization is best described by which of the following statements? A, B, C, or D? I can tell you that I believe B is true, but I think D is the right answer. What do y'all think?
Why not A, starting from higher level and then is refining?
I also was thinking about A,
Okay,
because it's continual prioritization. D sounds like it's done. Kind of.
this sounds like a summary. I agree, this is continual. Let's see what we're at. Very good. That is the definition of continual prioritization. Susan is in the process of evaluating the implications of proposed changes to requirements and design. She consults with knowledgeable stakeholders to fully understand the proposed change in relationship to the business. Which guideline is Susan observing? Is she looking at solution scope, domain knowledge, impact analysis, or requirements architecture?
I think I'm thinking about C, impact analysis.
It's implications, so let's try C. Okay. Knowledge of and expertise in the business domain is needed to assess proposed requirements changes.
That's a little unfair. Both of those I think are equally right. I mean, the knowledgeable stakeholders are SMEs with domain knowledge, but she's actually doing impact analysis.
I agree. Would you like for me to flag this?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that thing.
flag. Yes, sir. Who would like to read this question?
All right. Rainier is a BA for, I don't even know how to say that, Deutsche Bank, an international financial conglomerate. He's starting to evaluate a requested change to a requirement for the initiative he is working on. What are the outputs of this process? Requirements and designs, requirements and design change assessments, verified requirements and designs, or assessed requirements and designs.
E, doc.
Why do
He's
you think so?
assessing. Because he started to evaluate, he's assessing it.
Okay, perfect.
But it's change.
Yeah, assess and change.
Okay.
Okay,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but it's kind of B in D. It's not the same in a way.
Well, let's see what the right answer is and we can look it up if we need to.
Hmm.
So we are going to go to 5.4.8.
So yeah, what's the difference between, because it seems the same.
I'd have gone with B.
Yeah,
Well, usually when something changes in the project while it's going on, that spells change request.
yeah.
And assessment and impact of the change.
Okay.
And if English isn't your first language, it might be difficult to follow that particular construction. So change assessment applies to both the words requirements and design. So you're doing change assessments, potentially both those things.
Okay. But because this is confusing, do you want me to flag this one?
Yeah, in general.
Okay, according to 5.4.8, requirements change assessment, the recommendation to approve, modify, or deny proposed changes to requirements. And then designs change assessment, the recommendation to approve, modify, or deny a proposed change to one or more design components.
And if you think about it logically, it's just, okay, we've come up with this requirement or design element. We're reviewing it. Do you like it or should we change it? It's part of the iterative cyclical review of things that you do within each phase until everyone reaches understanding and agreement.
I agree. Any other questions about this one? Okay, let's move on. The purpose of prioritizing requirements is to rank requirements in an order of relative importance. Which of the following can be the location where the prioritization is maintained? A repository, meeting minutes, backlog, or a decision register? Are any of these not terms that you've seen before in the BABOK?
B and D are not.
Okay, so it's
But
probably A or C.
Yeah. I think
C.
I'm thinking about, I mean, repository, it's where we keep our stuff, right?
Well, it is, but we also keep our, a backlog is a kind of repository, and it's where we normally keep our tasks to get done, and we prioritize them there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
D.
D.
usually you have your backlog and then whatever is in your current scope.
Mhm,
Yeah, you pull out of your backlog if you want to bring it into a sprint,
right, and you
put it
bring
into
it
the
in.
backlog. Yeah, when it's
You gotta
not,
prioritize the backlog so you bring in the right things.
Agile also.
yeah.
Okay,
At the same maintained.
so which one should I choose, folks?
I vote
I
for
go
backlog.
for A.
I'm sorry.
Let's see.
Backlog.
Okay, let's try this one.
A.
Okay, backlog management is used to compare requirements to be prioritized. The backlog can be located where that prioritization is maintained. So if you're using Jira, you're going to prioritize it in Jira. If you're using a Kanban board backlog, it's going to be listed on in that list of tasks or requirements in the backlog area of your Kanban board. Okay, I'm going to read the question. Y'all can read the answers. You're asked to trace a particular requirement by a business stakeholder. What is the stakeholder asking you to do? What does trace a requirement mean?
I
Damn.
vote for A.
B as in boy?
I vote for A.
A.
I know, but let's see. I haven't read the chapter actually,
Okay.
so
Does
maybe
anyone
there
else
is
have a
more
different answer?
accurate answer in BABOK.
Actually, A is straight from the book, but
Okay, then cool.
I don't remember if it's. I think it's the purpose of trace requirement.
Okay, let's try it out then. Okay, this is the definition of maintaining a requirement. This is the definition of tracing a requirement, particularly the output of a traced requirement. Let's look at this. Let's look at 5.1.2. Requirements traceability identifies and documents the lineage of each requirement, including its backwards traceability, its forward traceability, and its relationship to other requirements. Traceability is used to ensure that the solution conforms to requirements and assists in scope, change, risk, time, cost, and communication management. It's also used to detect missing functionality or to identify if there is an implemented functionality that is not supported by a requirement. So let's say that you have the need to have a button on the screen that allows you to print. If your requirement is the user can print the contents of the screen, this would give you the ability to say you have this requirement, but you don't have anything that goes along with it to actually implement it. Is there a better explanation?
Well, I think of it in two ways, and it's important. I should actually think about adding this to the diagram I have of requirements traceability. So I think of it as through the project and time from the overall need to the conceptual model to requirements to design to implementation to test and acceptance. So that is making sure everything gets done in order. But there's also a vertical kind of relationship that logically relates all these pieces of information to each other in the way this describes. And that is equally valid. Functional relationships between the requirements, all in both the requirements and the design, and of course the implementation. So that's actually really interesting for me.
Very cool. Okay, let's move on. A requirement must be blank to ensure that it remains valid over time, maintained, approved, assessed, or traced.
That screams maintained.
Maintained, yeah.
Very nice. Adam is the lead business analyst in the Data Strategy Initiative. The stakeholder on this initiative are having a difficult time coming to a consensus for one of the requirements, and hence there is a high probability that the requirement will change. He decides, Adam, to give a lower priority in order to minimize unanticipated rework and wasted effort. What ranking factor is Adam employing? Continual prioritization, regulatory compliance, stability, or risk?
Stability.
Why do you think so?
Well, because they want the requirement, any discussion about the requirement to be solved and a consensus reached before they can do any work. So stability.
I kind of
Yeah,
think
I agree.
risk, but go for it.
Let's find out.
Yeah,
Stability, this factor in the prioritization process has to do with the stability of the requirement. If it is deemed unstable, it is given a lower priority. Very good, Sid. No wonder you're the boss man. Which of the following is not a guideline and tool for traceability? Domain knowledge, business rule repository, legal regulatory information, information management approach.
Maybe
Well,
legal.
Well, I don't remember that they would mention in the same like business rule repository. I remember they mentioned business rule, but without what repository, if to go for memory. Legal.
Let's try legal and see what we get. Business rule repository is correct. It is not listed in the BABOK.
Mhm.
Okay, let's look at 5.1.5. So we've got domain knowledge, information management approach, legal regulatory information, and requirements management tool and repository. Very good. Which of the following is not a guideline or tool for the task to prioritize requirements? System architecture, domain knowledge, business constraints, or change strategy?
Can you uncover? Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't remember business constraints in the book that they mentioned.
Okay. Anybody have a
About
different answer?
others.
Let's check it. Okay. Regulatory statutes, contractual obligations, and business policies may define priorities. And then the correct answer is system architecture is not listed as a guideline or tool. System architecture identifies the structure, behavior, and views of a system. However, requirements architecture is listed as a guideline or tool for prioritized requirements task. Let's look at 5.3.5. So we've got business constraints, change strategy, domain knowledge, governance approach, requirements architecture, requirements management tool and repository, and solution scope. Those are all guidelines and tools for prioritized requirements. I'll be honest, folks, this is not something that I deal with a great deal in the real world, but obviously people do. And so that's why they have it on the test.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that definition because the system architecture too absolutely defines what you do. So,
Right? Okay, the next question. When can a requirement be prioritized? Only if documented constraints and assumptions require it to be prioritized, anytime in its life cycle, during the prioritized requirements and allocate requirements task, or only during the prioritization of requirements.
It's B.
You sound pretty sure of that, sir. Because you are correct.
Just a confession, requirements is like my life, so.
I know. I like that about you. Okay, so BABOK Chapter 5 states that these tasks occur from inception to retirement. Mentions requirements and designs can be prioritized if they are ready to be prioritized, but does not explain what that means. Anytime during its life cycle, a requirement can be prioritized and reprioritized as needed, because if you work on the top priority, this is exciting to me. If you prioritize all of your requirements and you identify the value, you can get the top 75% of value done in the first 50% of the project. which the math doesn't make sense to me, but I've seen it happen over and over.
Actually,
hitting the low
probably,
frame,
more
low
like
fruit.
80-20, which you may recognize as the Pareto distribution.
Yes. Cliff, what were you saying?
No, it's just hitting the low lying fruit first.
Yes, yes, you
And,
get, right.
the advantage to that, it makes the project more positive as you move on too. People are willing to continue.
And very
See
often
results.
you get to the last 25% of the project and you go, you know what? This stuff isn't even needed. We've got what we need.
Yep.
Okay, which of the following is an invalid statement about the approval of requirements? Approval of requirements and designs may be formal or informal. Project managers obtain approval by reviewing the requirements or changes to requirements with the accountable individuals. Adaptive approaches typically involve requirements just before construction and implementation of a solution begins. And predictive approaches typically perform approvals at the end of the phase or during planned change control meetings. So we're looking for an invalid statement.
Hmm. I
I
don't
think
like
it's-
C or D.
C, I don't like C. For sure.
I think it's D.
Why do you think it's D, Sid?
Well, because they say approvals at the end,
Yeah,
which I would think you want approvals in the before.
that's true. So this is adaptive approaches, this is predictive approaches, but it's still, you'd want it before you do the work.
Yeah, agree.
Let's see what we get here.
No. Oh, that
Project
was
manager,
my other answer, because
of course it
project
was.
managers don't go and get approvals.
Right, this is business analyst job, not
Yeah.
project managers. But, you know, different organizations do things differently. So predictive
I hate
approaches,
this question.
I'm sorry,
I hate this question.
do you want me to flag it?
No,
Mm.
it's just, it's not even wrong. It's just everything about it's bad.
It's, well, in that case, you would want me to flag it, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Traceability is best described by the following statement. Traceability is used to obtain metrics by the change management board to approve or deny requests for change. Traceability requirements supplement business requirements and functional requirements. Traceability identifies and documents the lineage of each requirement, including its backwards traceability, its forwards traceability, and its relationship to other requirements. Traceability assists in developing the project schedule. Which is the best statement? Which one?
C, I think it's from the
C.
book.
See,
Agreed.
Read that answer before somewhere. This is the definition of traceability. Good job. What is the purpose of prioritizing requirements? To rank requirements in the order of relative importance, to ensure requirements align to one another and manage the effects of any proposed change, to determine which requirements should be completed first, to determine which requirements carry the most risk.
God, I like A and C.
Yeah, but
Looking at
C is
A.
talking about completed. A is talking about just ranking them in order of priority.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, no, should be completed first.
Yeah,
Right.
this
Mm.
should be.
Talking
So it's
about
order.
completed.
Yeah.
I think it's A. I
Go
think you're right,
with-
it's A, but we'll see.
Let's find out. Prioritization is the critical exercise that seeks to ensure the maximum value is achieved. What gets me about this one is sometimes you have something that's going to take much longer than something else, but that doesn't mean it should be begun before or after it. The completed part is not right. It's when it has to be done, when it started. You've got
Well-
dependencies, your predecessors and successors that have to do with this. But this is the best answer for this question.
Again, the fact that something may be trivial and easy to do, but the design requires that it be done first, means it is more important right now in the current context. So I'm not mad about that question.
Okay, I'm glad you're not mad about it. Okay,
If
who would
this
like
is
to,
my point, I am mad about it.
okay, who would like to read this one?
All right, when prioritizing requirements, different stakeholders focus on different areas of the prepared requirements package. What does the implementation SME focus on? Determines the technical dependencies of the project. They might also negotiate to have requirement prioritizations changed based on technical constraints. Use the priorities. You guys can read this.
Yeah, y'all read it.
Yeah.
I would say like A because it's implementation SME and usually it's development team or tech leads, so they can determine the technical dependencies.
I'm gonna say C. Because they say SME. So they want the person who's the subject matter expert on the thing.
Well, it's the it's the implementation SME. So that's the person that's making it happen. And they're not worried about the user. That's done by someone else. The implementation SME, think of it as the developer or designer is worried about what's needed to make that bit work.
Tell me which number to choose, guys.
A,
As in boy?
Apple.
Oh, A.
Alpha.
Sorry. Great. An implementation subject matter expert provides input relating to technical dependencies and can negotiate to have the prioritization change based on technical constraints. Very good. Who are the key stakeholders that contribute to the maintenance of requirements? Domain subject matter expert, documentation subject matter expert, regulator, supervisor, directors, computer operators, and designers, usability subject matter experts, developers, designers, user experience subject matter experts, or domain subject matter expert, implementation subject matter expert, operational support, regulator, and tester.
Sounds like D, Doc.
Why do you think so? I don't think there is a documentation subject matter expert.
It's very funny. A is very funny. B, supervisors, directors, no.
Yeah. So we're down to C or D.
Designers, no. So D.
Okay. Good. These are the key stakeholders that are listed in the BABOK. Good job. Which stakeholder participate in prioritizing requirements? I'll let y'all read those.
I think it's A.
Let's find out. Very good.
One thing you can do with these is if you write them all out like in a grid, anything that's in all four answers isn't a part of what they're testing you on. You can eliminate those. And so you can shrink the problem down as much as possible.
Very good. Good strategy there. Greg is working on getting his requirements approved. Which stakeholder is responsible for ensuring that the requirements meet quality assurance standards? Is it the tester, the project manager, operational support, or the regulator? This is QA.
Tester.
Oh, a tester too.
The tester is responsible for ensuring quality assurance standards are met. I tell my QA folks, who incidentally are very often beat up and meek sometimes, I tell them that they are the gatekeepers responsible to raise they are the only ones who can open the gate to let the product out. If they say it's not good enough, if they say it doesn't meet the regulations or the requirements, or it's not good enough because it doesn't do, it doesn't stand up to load testing or whatever, that they are the gatekeepers. And you give them that authority and you get them involved early enough in the project if possible, and they will step up and be that gatekeeper for you. They become a very valuable part of the team instead of, oh, QA is giving us heck. Which of the following is an input to assess requirements changes? Traced design, proposed change, traced needs, or traced constraints?
B.
Why do you think so?
I remember.
I'm going with her. Proposed change designs and requirements are all inputs into the assessed requirements change task. I love it that you actually read these. Which of the following is not a consideration in the prioritized requirements task? Basis for prioritization, benefits of prioritization, continual prioritization, or challenges of prioritization?
I think A, basis. They don't state it in the book. Does not exist.
Anybody have a different answer? All right.
Incorrect.
So technically correct is benefits of prioritization. It falls under basis of prioritization instead of being its own element. The question is essentially asking which answer is not an element of prioritization requirements, and this is the one. Let's go and look this up because this seems a little confusing to me. Does it seem confusing to y'all?
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's doing, it's just an annoying question.
I
And
know.
you have to accept this in these kind of tests because I really think, and especially with as much experience and intelligence as you all have, that the actual material is not that difficult. And so they do a meta test on your logical and scanning abilities for whatever spaghetti they throw together. So I think you guys are on the right track, no matter what these practice exams seem to show.
I think we are on the right track, but we got to pass the test. So let's get this done. So the basis for which requirements are prioritized is agreed upon by relevant stakeholders as defined by the business analysis planning and monitoring knowledge area. Typical factors that include prioritization include benefit, the advantage that accrues to stakeholders as a result of requirements implementation as measured against the goals and objectives for the change. The benefit provided can refer to a specific functionality, desired quality, or strategic goal or business objective. If there are multiple stakeholders, each group may perceive benefits differently. Conflict resolution and negotiation may be employed to come to a consensus on overall benefit. So these are things that are basis of prioritizations, but it is within the benefits of prioritization.
Can you scroll down some to make, yeah. All right, more. So think about that entire list. Costs and benefits go into risks and scroll up again. Penalties. So cost benefit, that's always important. We talked about dependencies and cross relationships. Time sensitivity is again, relationships in time as well as logical links. And then stability is kind of a non-functional requirement, so that's always a consideration. And what's the last one?
Regulatory or policy compliance.
Sure.
This seems like I can see the benefit of each one of these categories and considering them, but it seems like it's a lot harder than it is in the real world. Do y'all feel that way?
I mean, in reality, anything can be the basis of prioritization. So
Yeah. Do y'all use all of these categories whenever you're talking about prioritization to your stakeholders? I don't think I've ever broken it down into these categories for them.
No.
We have talked about the return on investment, so that's your cost and that's your benefit.
Cost and risk are the big ones.
Yeah. And you know, if there's a regulatory thing that we're going to be breaking a rule, it will be fine. There is a penalty. I guess we do talk about it, but just not in these formal categories.
kind
Something
of
to think about.
implicit.
Say that again, Bob.
It's all that's kind of implicit. You basically just feel it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, here's a wonderful long question. You're working on a team that is adding a new line of insurance to your company's claim system. Conflicts have arisen among many of the stakeholders as a result of different interpretations of requirements for the new line, as well as conflicting values placed on their value. Which stakeholder would you recommend to facilitate communication between stakeholders or resolve areas of conflict so that each group has an improved appreciation of the needs for others? Which
sounds like-
stakeholder would you recommend?
BA.
You are the business analyst.
Personally, I'd like to send human resources in, but that's not the answer. It's project manager.
You think?
Yeah. Really?
No. We are the linchpin. The business analyst facilitates communication between the stakeholders.
No, okay.
The PM makes it happen, though. They're the
Yeah.
ones that are authorized to devote the resources, people, and time to something. And it depends on the structure of the organization, how much power and freedom to command resources BAs actually have. Doing the analysis, yeah, that's all BA all the time.
Okay. Which of the following is not a consideration in assessing requirements changes? Impact analysis, traceability repository, impact resolution, or assessment formality?
Maybe D.
That does seem like it's a
If
foreign.
yeah, I mean, but
Odd man out, yeah.
Let's find out.
mm,
So BAs determine the formality of assessments based on the information available and apparent importance of the change and the governance process. The correct answer is the traceability repository is not a consideration in assessing requirements changes. Traceability repository is a consideration for tracing requirements, not assessing them. So this is the correct answer. Requirements traceability is a document and maintained in accordance with the methods identified by the business and analysis approach and its governance. This is not the most valuable question I've seen on this test. But I do understand it's not a consideration for assessing requirements change. It's just a method, it's a tool that we use to trace the requirements. Does anyone want me to flag this one? Okay.
Not accurate enough.
Okay, let's go to results. We are at 60%. Not the best we've ever done, folks, but we learned some things, I bet you.
I think you're actually stronger than that, based on what the actual test is like.
I agree
Not
with
that
you.
more study isn't always better.
I agree. Let me use the last few minutes to say that if you're not an IIBA member, I will tell you that we would love to have you join us in the IIBA, simply because number one, you're going to get a discount on your application. Number two, you're going to get a discount on your test fee. And number three, you get access to a whole lot of information that the IIBA provides free, including a library that has every single book that you could possibly want as a BA for Agile, for risk, for business intelligence, for computer learning. There's a whole bunch of good stuff in there. If you are not an IIBA member, you can go to the IIBA website, log in and create an account. And my chapter, the chapter that we belong to is the Tampa Bay chapter. And if you choose that chapter, it just allows a small portion of your fee that you give to the International Association to be funneled down to us so that we can use it to provide things like scholarships and materials for members that may benefit from it. If you have any questions about it, you're free to contact me through the IIBA. I'm sorry, through LinkedIn, and we will see you next week at this same time. And we will go through requirements lifecycle management. And those of you who have not yet read the chapter, why don't you read it and let's see if we can get a better grade than a 60. And if you're looking for a position as a business analyst, contact me through LinkedIn. I've got about 4 that I'm going to be sending out to folks. Thank you very much. And we will talk to y'all next week.
Thanks.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Good night.